everyone, I'm Chris,
I'm Rob.
and we're
What's Ohio Adventures?
Halloween edition. This is our second Halloween edition we did. So this time we went to,
Punderson State Lodge.
and we went there to stay the night.
Oh, went there because it was the original lodge, the original manor was a private residence. They've added another wing onto it since, but where you check in, where you eat, where the bar is all part of the old one. And we stayed in a room in the old section of the manor. And the reason why we did is because they have reports of various hauntings.
So in the video that you're going to see next has where we had already walked through and actually had some kind of creepy experiences. And then I talk about what I was able to gather intuitively. And then we're going to come back again to talk about something, well, a couple things that happened after we had filmed that portion. So stay tuned. Okay, we're at the Punderson State Park Lodge. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And first of all, well, actually, I'll give my impressions that I got intuitively, but go ahead and give the history of the lodge in the area.
I have notes.
I got notes too.
Okay, Lemuel, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Punderson, first settled here in 1802. Now, the story, the legend is that at some point he took a bathtub, rode out into the middle of the lake, pulled the drain, and drowned himself. That's the legend. The probability of what really happened is that he probably died of complications due to malaria in 1822. But I like the legend better. And then you have W.B. Cleveland, owned it, bought it after Punderson, and he was a multimillionaire, but all of a sudden he lost his business from the, actually I didn't say why, but around 1918. And he's been seen around the building a lot. Now what he wanted to do was, there used to be a hotel across the lake from Punderson Lodge or State Park that was popular, I guess, in the 1800s and very, very early 1900s. He remembered coming there as a kid, seeing the lake, so he always wanted to buy it if he ever had enough money. Well, he got enough money, but then he lost his businesses. He wanted to create a private hunting and fishing club, but he never got to do it because he did lose his business. Next, a Detroit millionaire named Carl Long purchased it in the 1920s from Cleveland, and he lost his fortune in the stock market crash in 1929. And he killed himself by hanging himself in the attic. Some employees in 1979, there were about 3 or 4 employees who stated that they witnessed a man, they called him a lumberjack, but a man hanging from a noose in the rafters, and it lasted over 3 hours until they said until the sun finally came up the next morning, and then it finally disappeared. But over 3 hours, they said it was visible for you to see it. Some of the claims are a lot of people hear a woman laughing around the spiral staircase. They hear children. Now the children, they don't think, because I think it was Cleveland? Let me see. No, it was Punderson. His wife Sybil. They had 6 children, and Sybil actually died here on the property. But they don't talk about the 6 kids anymore. But they think the kids are from the hotel fire, because the hotel across the lake caught on fire, and there were 6 kids who were killed in the fire. They think the kids are from that one. And then another claim is the TVs, water faucets, and lights all turn off and on. Doors open up by themselves. They hear laughing, cold breezes. There's also been reports, and some of them are legitimate reports, that people will complain that the people next door to them are having loud parties or being really loud. But when the staff looks at it, there's nobody staying in that room. It was so bad that one particular customer actually called the police because he felt that the staff wasn't doing anything, because he said there was a wild party going on above him. Well, when the police came out, they were a little bit dumbfounded because the guy was staying on the top floor. There was nobody above him. And he did end up leaving. He didn't stay the rest of the night. So there's a lot of claims, all in the hotel. Almost all of it entirely in the other part, which is where we're staying.
Mm-hmm. We are in the, what's it called, the Saxon room?
Mm-hmm.
So before we even came out, I really didn't know much about this place. In fact, it wasn't until we were on our way I was asking Rob to, explain the history behind it, because he usually looks at the backstories and everything. But all day today, intuitively, I kept seeing a woman. And I told him, I said, now, what kind of person are they seeing? Are they seeing a man or a woman? Because all I can see was this woman with the updo, period dress. And I said, the only thing I did know was that the lodge was, I guess, created or whatever in the 20s. And I said, but her dress that I keep seeing her in is a lot older than that. I was looking at the period dress from the late 1800s to very, very early 1900s. And, very proper, very well dressed. And he said that there is a report of a woman who's been heard laughing and everything else, but I was really confused because, again, I thought this whole thing was created, built in the 20s, and the Art Deco Goth era. And sure enough, they have a gargoyle outside. And but her dress was confusing me because it was something of a lady, not of that time, but of a previous time. And so when we got here, we pulled after we checked in, we pulled the suitcases out of the truck, and Rob went to go park. And while I was standing on the steps waiting for him, I kept hearing what I thought was Missy at first. It was something ending with the IE or a Y or something, but I kept hearing like Missy or Misty. And I was very confused because it doesn't really sound like a name of someone from that time era. And I thought, oh, maybe they're saying the Missy of the house, the mistress, And it wasn't until after we ate, we went back through the little lobby area where the spiral staircase starts, and they have a display, and they have in that display pictures of the original owners of this, of not only this place, but of a previous house that was on the property beforehand, and a little bit of the history about them. And I saw a lady with the updo and wearing the dress that I kept seeing in my vision. And I looked, and her name it's OC, right? OC Cleveland. And at first I didn't know how, I was like, is that Aussie or OC? And Rob said, no, it's OC. And all of a sudden it hit me, Miss OC. there it was, you know, starting to connect. So before I get into the impressions that I got in this place intuitively, we were walking after dinner down the old portion of the hotel. And we came upon, I was recording the whole time, and we came upon, which there's a library. And I was like, are we allowed to go in there? And he was like, I don't see why not. So we went in there, and it got colder and colder and colder. Oh, before we get to that though, I'm getting ahead of myself. The spiral staircase area, right when you walk in, my head was already swimming. So I knew this wasn't one of those rumored ghost places like, you know, a lot of places are. I figured there was something pretty legit here. When you go up to the spiral staircase, there's a little parlor area, a little seating area, and it has stained glass windows and everything. Head was really swimming up there, and I was like, okay, yeah. When we walked into the library, you kind of have to, you know, round your way around, or how should I say, wind your way around. Can we go in here?
Let's see what
And when we got to the actual part where they have the books and a couple of chairs, it was frigid in there. There was a door that was wide open that led to just a closet. And Rob asked, why is the door open? And I was like, well, I don't know. I was like, what's in there? And he said, it's just a closet. And so he said, one of the rumors is that doors open by themselves all the time.
I wonder why that door's open.
Is it a closet?
Yeah. That's one of the things, is doors open up by themselves. Because there should be no reason why that door's open.
Interesting. OC, is that you? I'll pull it to see how easy it comes. Yeah. Interesting. Now, the frigid air that we're feeling in there, even though my head is really swimming at this time, I told Rob it could be just that maybe they don't have, you know, the heating system or something going into this room, which kind of not makes sense, because then people don't want to go in the dead of winter going to the library, you know. But it's, you know, surrounded by windows. It's a very small room. It has windows all around. And so I said, well, it could be that. So we come out of the library, and I'm still recording, and we're walking down the hall. And at the very end, I think it's the last room to your right, we're hearing static, like lots of static and music, but it's not like nowadays music. It was like very old-timey, almost like if you were listening to an old phonograph type thing, or a very old radio. And I thought, oh, maybe it's just maybe we're hearing from a speaker, maybe they pipe music through, you know, the hotel or whatever. But no, it wasn't until we were walking back that I realized the music was getting further and further away. So no, it was not being carried out through the hotel. It was just specifically from that room. End of line. Mm-hmm. Kind of weird, huh? Kind of creepy. Huh? Don't know how to explain it. It was weird.
Well, one of the claims is that electronics, TVs, and I guess radios turn on by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm willing to bet there's nobody staying there. I bet it's an empty room and the radio came on. But it did make sense that you could hear the music clearly, but you could also hear the static.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. It's almost like the static was behind the music,
Mm-hmm.
because you could clearly hear the music. It wasn't like, a radio station fading out where you start losing the music and you get more static. And they were both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the static was the background. I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird. It was kind of a creepy feeling.
It really was. So the impressions, I already talked about hearing like what I thought was Missy. And I already talked about, in my visions, I kept seeing a lady in period dress that was a lot more before the 1920s. When we were in the dining room meeting, because we went to I forget what it's called, I forget what the name of the dining room is, but I kept like sensing and feeling her and getting in, intuitively in my visions that she's a big presence here. Again, I did not see a single guy, a man the whole time, because I know there's rumored that there's at least one or two
Mm-hmm.
men that are supposed to be haunting here. Never picked that up. But what I saw was that she's not one of those cranky ghosts where they, want people out of their house and things like that. No, she enjoys it. She absolutely loves it. And she has no intention of going anywhere because she's happy. What I was being shown is that she doesn't mind being here in the lodge, and that does not mind people being here. She was a hostess in life. She loved to entertain, and so she thrives off of that. She's still, I saw her like flitting here and flitting there, checking on guests, making sure everything was okay, even though she's not physically doing anything with the guests. She wants to make sure everything is going perfect, and everything's going the way it should be, so that the guests have a great time. I again did not see any male ghosts. I did see 2 children ghosts, but what I saw was that they're not even in here. So I asked Rob about that. I said, are people seeing them in here? Because I kept seeing them outside. And then you can explain the stories that you've read about that.
And supposedly it was in the 80s. There was a hostess, probably with the restaurant downstairs, basically taking a nap, taking a little break. There was like a little couch down there apparently, and she laid down on it to catch a break, and she woke up because she kept hearing kids running around the couch and playing and being kind of loud, and it woke her up. And there's been other reports that people will hear kids running up and down the halls, or hear kids laughing and playing when there's not supposed to really be any kids in at the time.
These kids that I saw too were not of the 1920s era. The kids I was seeing had more period dress, again, turn of the century, maybe very late 1800s, turn of the century type time frame. They were dressed very properly for their station in life, but these kids were not how should I say, held back where you had to, watch your manners and act properly and behave yourselves. No, these kids were allowed to be kids because I saw them ripping and tearing around everywhere outside and just laughing and having fun. So they were not shy about just being children. Again, the female kept coming back, and she says she's not going anywhere. She's happy here. Doesn't even care. This kind of cracked me up because she said she didn't even care that her husband's on the other side because he never paid much attention to her in life anyway. So why should she care to go see him in heaven? I think she's of the mindset that people had back then of what heaven's supposed to be like, because what she told me is that sitting on a cloud for all eternity sounds perfectly boring to her, and she wanted no part of that. She's going to stay right here where she can continue to entertain and be the hostess that she is. Then it shifted. I was told that there's been a lot of tragedies in this area, and I was told that this is sacred land, and that spirits did. I don't know really much about the history of the place before everything, but they said that the spirits did not make it easy for the first white people here. Hence probably all the tragedies that they're talking about. They said that the land is very old and this was not a place for others to settle. And they said the land is dying now. Take that with a grain of salt. All I know is what we see on our own property here in Geauga County, where all the trees are dying. Everything's like pretty much our wood line is disappearing bit by bit by bit. So I don't know if that's what they're talking about, the land is dying. But I guess it's all up to personal interpretation of what that could mean. I did see a second female, and this is the first time she's come into my visions, and I saw her that she can actually be seen by others at times standing at the lake, and that she's younger. She's like maybe in her 20s, maybe 30 at the most, but I think she's in her 20s. Same kind of period dress of the late 1800s, turn of the century. And they showed me that she's more residual. You'll never see her interacting or responding to the environment around her. She does the same thing every time. She's all of a sudden there, she's staring across the lake, she has the same solemn look on her face. You can kind of feel grief emanating from her, and that's it. So it's more of a residual thing. And let's see. Oh, so he was talking about, the kids have been seen, because I kept saying, well, I can't see them inside the lodge. I keep seeing them outside. But I did see right before all the vision stopped was that the kids, I do see them come every now and then into the house, but Miss OC chases them out. Why? Because they're disrupting the guests, and she cannot have that. So she makes them all go back out, and I see them just laughing and running back out, and then they're ripping and tearing all over the place again, just having a good old time. Now, across from over here, there's cabins, where they have more, we saw children out there today, and, families inside the hotel. It's more older people like us. In fact, I think we're the youngest ones right now. But that's probably why the kids love running around out there, because there's other kids to interact with. So that's what I've gotten. You have anything to add?
Nope.
Okay, sounds good. Bye. We're back. So right after filming that portion of the video, I went into our suitcase that we had on it was like an bench seat that was at the end of the bed. And I unzipped the suitcase we had because I was getting my pajamas out. And I had a little night bag inside of there that had my comb and brush and some rubber bands and things like that inside of there. Sitting on top of that bag was my comb. It was not outside of that little night bag. It was inside the night bag, zipped up, and the night bag was still zipped up completely, but it was just laying there like, hello, look, I've moved this for you. So Rob said that part of the stories that go around about hauntings there in the lodge is that personal effects get moved around. So it was really funny because it was like in your face. It's like, boom, here I am. Now, let's say maybe I brain farted and actually didn't put the comb inside of there, which did not happen, but let's say it did. By carrying the suitcase around and jostling around, there's no way it would have been sitting perfectly on top of that night bag. So I don't know how to explain it. And then we had a possible EVP. The only problem is there was a lot of noise that night coming from patrons of either the bar and the restaurant or other people staying at the lodge overnight. That went on until about just before 10 o'clock at night. So while we were trying to do EVPs, we did have a lot of noise, but we did get one where he was asking, who's here? Miss OC, is that you? And there was something I detected that sounded like a female voice went, mm-hmm. And it was kind of low. It was a lot lower than the high pitched cackling ladies that we had going on all night. Because our room was pretty much right above the restaurant and in bar area where the spiral staircase goes up. So I don't know about that one, but it was definitely interesting.
Is there anyone here? Is Miss OC here?
Talk about some of the stuff that we tried to use to attempt to
Well,
get evidence.
we got some cat balls, the ones that light up if they move. Put those around the room. We had a bunch of little flashlights. Put those around the room in case they were to come on or off or whatever the case. And I think it was about it. And then we had the recorders. So
The only motion that we got from the cat balls to where it lit up is in the morning when Rob forgot that one of them was on the ground and wound up kicking it into the closet door, scared the crap out of me.
it lit up.
It lit up. But other than that, it was pretty quiet. It felt like once the guests had either left the property or had settled down for the night, so did Miss OC. I don't know. I have to say, I felt very comfortable there all night. I didn't feel creeped. I mean, there were some things that were like, ooh, like the frigid air, the chill in the library portion. And I found out later that area is supposedly super haunted. I had read about that. And one of the things is about the ice cold air in there. The strange music that we talked about in the video. I mean, that could have been somebody just playing weird music. It could have been someone trying to do their own investigation and using what they call a trigger object, something that will remind a spirit of something from their time era that will get them to respond to it. So we don't know. I'm not going to be knocking on the door going, hey, is there anybody in there? Somebody's room.
Would have been neat to ask.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would have told us, but
yeah.
Asked the front desk if there was anybody staying there.
When we checked out the following morning, Rob had told the lady that it was a really nice stay, very comfortable, and how we really liked the old part of the lodge because that's where we had stayed at. And I found her response interesting. She goes, it's different atmosphere, isn't it? And I was thinking, yeah, you got that right. So let's talk a little bit about the lodge itself. What did you like the best?
So I liked it all. I mean, it's an old Tudor style. It's kept up, so I mean, it's not run down. It's just old. I'd like to have it for my house. I mean, a
Yeah.
spiral staircase that goes
Heck
up,
yeah.
the library, the little alcoves that are here and there, and it's just, and the rooms were comfortable.
Yes.
Pretty good size. Because I was kind of wondering what they were going to be like, because all I could see was what was online. So it was really nice. I enjoyed it. I'd
That,
go back.
that's the thing. When you go online, you really can't find pictures of what the rooms will really look like. I think they have a picture of what the beds look like or something. Oh, let me tell you, those beds are very comfortable, by the way. I didn't sleep that night very well, not because of hauntings, but because the hurricane was going on in Florida, and we have a grandson that lives there, so we were worried. But the bed itself was super comfortable. The room was immaculate. Um, the bathroom had all the amenities that you need, and I felt like it was tastefully decorated. It's supposed to be older. He had read online where people had complained that the rooms are kind of old and run down and all that. I didn't think so. I thought it was very well done, especially for an old part.
They're older, but they're not run down. I mean, they're well kept. Everything's,
Mhm.
nothing's falling apart or anything. It was all well kept old stuff.
And that room had so many windows too.
Yeah.
A lot of windows. That was great. The bar is gorgeous. The dining room is called the Cherry Dining Room. I could not remember the name of it. The grounds are beautiful. You're up high and then you can walk down. For those with mobility issues, be careful going down. There's a lot of loose gravel. There's not a lot of safety net around you in case you slip and fall. But it takes you all the way down to the lake. And there's floating docks and boardwalk. And it was just gorgeous. There's cabins there. I mean, it was a really, really cool experience. They have a tiny little gift shop. Oh, when you show up, if you've never been there before, you check in the gift shop. Because we were kind of like, where the heck do we go? We didn't have a clue. But yeah, everyone was really nice. When you first arrive, you won't be disappointed. It looks like it's a Tudor style, but it also has kind of the Art Deco goth era feel. They even have a big old gargoyle out in the front. But apparently it's really popular because we heard a lot of people, just having a great old time there. And like I said, it was right before 10, all of a sudden just everything just stops. So that's nice too. Anything you have to add?
I don't think so. But I did read, I believe it's the oldest state park lodge in Ohio. So I figure it was built in the 20s. So yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm. But it was a very cool experience, and I personally would not mind going back again. So take care, everybody, and thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.